Hi, I'm Carl Lewis, and I am a proud member right now of the Silk Team Pro Team.
So hi, I'm Paige Taylor from the Nocturnal. So you were Olympian. So take me back to what it's like, stepping into the Olympic Village, stepping onto the track for the first time, your first Olympics.
Well, my first Olympics was 1984, and I had a unique experience that I made the 80 Olympic team that boycotted, so that kind of heightened the anticipation. Well, I didn't stay in the village at all, so it was kind of unique for me, as opposed to a lot of people who stayed because I had security issues. But just walking to that stadium the first time, I remember this clearly. Getting the first time, it was like 9 a.m, and there were 90,000 people there, and it was just something that's impossible to explain. That first day, it was just a qualifying round, and you're just like, all these years that you've worked, and you're here, and it starts. And so it was really exciting, something that I will never forget, and nothing will ever match that first day.
So today you are regarded as a legend, an icon. Tell me what it means to you to hear yourself be called these things.
Well, I look at it a couple of ways. Number one, we worked hard. I was so fortunate to have a solid group of people around me, starting with my family, who are always supportive, and coaches and teammates. And so that's part of it. So it doesn't happen without that infrastructure. Secondly, I also use it in a way as a call to arms. I mean, I'm so fortunate that people still remember who I am and what I've done and accomplished. I want to be able to continue to use that to make a difference, because that's what I saw my parents do. They were teachers and coaches, and all I saw them was serving the community. That's what I know. I look at it differently now that I'm like my parents' age, because younger, I didn't realize I was being indoctrinated to do something, but I take that as a badge of honor. So the legend status, or whatever you want to call that other people call, to me is just an opportunity to use that status to help make something better. And that's really what I'm really enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm. And so going off of that, so what are 3 of the most important things that got you to where you are today?
Well, the 3 things, first of all, I had some pretty good genetics. Thank you, parents. Mom was an Olympian, so that doesn't hurt. But I think that the second part was, if you have to look at it in a broader context, and that's why this program for HBCUs is so important. My parents met at Tuskegee Institute. And so growing up, I learned about civil rights, and my parents were friends with Dr. King, and they marched in the riots. They did all these kind of things. So I was raised with that sensibility to understand not only the issues that we had in the 60s that we were finally tackling, but also how to grow up in the world as a Black man. So that shaped a lot of me, and it shaped a lot of my success handling and managing what my career would be like. And so that's the second. And the third is, I have a really strong desire to be successful and rich. That's what I was when I was young. I mean, and that started when I was a little kid. I mean, as a little kid, I said, give me a newspaper route. I want money. So I had a desire to be successful, and I was not afraid to work hard at it. I had a great legacy, but also, and good genes. And I think those are the 3 things. And those genes included people that support it as well.
And then, so what do you say to people who say that athletes should just stay in sports? They shouldn't, go into social justice. They shouldn't talk about politics. They shouldn't do anything else.
Well, that's really an interesting thing, because that means lawyers should just stay as lawyers. Teachers just stay as teachers. I mean, that's what I call an infantile evasion. And generally, the people that are saying that are people with an agenda, whether it's news media people, and we know who talk about that because it's an agenda, or it's just people that are not educated enough to understand that there are all types of people that understand that. And then thirdly, think about it. Athletes have always been a part of social justice, and even now, what I tell athletes is that the young ones is that, look, nothing ever changes without some level of resistance. Why should it change without resistance? So I think that's just an infantile evasion. Using a child's way to avoid the real facts. And that's what I call it.
And then, so speaking of young stars for today, have you been watching the trials and, the future of track?
Yes, I have. And I have a unique perspective, because be coaching at the University of Houston and having athletes that are involved, I'm able to see them up close and personal. And a lot of the international people, or people that are post-collegiate, I knew when they were in college. And so I think it's a good time. I see, and I'm not really one on like the changing of the guard, but I see new young athletes coming. It'll be a fresh new Olympic team. And I think that's good for America. I think it's good to have your era. I like the fact that athletes can stay around a long time and earn a living, and the public can get to know them. And then they run their course, and then a next group comes in and they have their chance. And I think that's what we're seeing this time around.
Great. So when did you adopt a plant-based diet?
Well, that's kind of the $64,000 question. So what happened back when I was competing, I was 28, and I realized that I probably had something that would be called today a eating disorder, and it wasn't, I didn't look at it that way, but I just wanted to keep my weight down. So I didn't eat very many meals, and probably ate about 10 meals a week, which was kind of crazy. So I realized that was not tenable, and I was getting older. And so I said, well, wait a minute, I've got to do something to keep this going, because this is not healthy. So I did some research over a period of months, and it kept coming back to a plant-based diet. I met people, I talked to them. So the plant-based diet, also juicing with a juicer. I met the juice men back then. And so when it came down to it, I started out with nothing with a face. And so that's how I ended up starting with soy milk. And Silk was the biggest product that I knew. And so I started drinking Silk soy milk in the 80s. And so it was a pretty amazing thing. Obviously, I wouldn't say radical, but it was different. And you didn't have a lot of choices. And actually the choices were only in health food stores then. So the other thing is that I ended up knowing about 100 health food stores around the world, and all these little shops and stuff. And even now I still go to visit some of it, but some of them closed because of course now you can get everything mainstream.
And then speaking of which, how did you went to several different, Olympics, several different, track meets around the world. How did you keep up a plant-based diet when you were traveling?
Well, what happened is that a lot of my teammates went to a plant-based diet as well, so that helped. And then I tell people that you have to learn how to adjust, because one of the best pieces of advice I had was, don't go around and tell everyone I'm a vegetarian, you don't have anything for me. Go out, eat before you go to a dinner party, and take a vegetarian dish they may like. Or if you want to go to a restaurant, go to a seafood place or a steakhouse. They always have a great salad bar. So those are kind of things I learned. So I realized that if you think of a plant-based diet as basically everything else on the plate, then you do have a lot of choices.
Great. And then, so tell me this is just the last question. Tell me how you got involved, in learning more about HBCUs and seeing how underfunded their athleticism is.
Well, here again, back to the unique experience. My mother and father met at Tuskegee Institute. My mother ran track for Tuskegee back in the late 40s and early 50s. And so I heard those stories of her coach, Major Abbott, coming up, and the challenges they had, not only being at HBCU at the time, but also being an African-American woman in the South. So as I've become a college coach, I've watched a lot of the HBCUs. I have a great relationship with Texas Southern in Houston, Prairie View. I know coaches there. North Carolina A&T is running really well. So there's so many of these schools that I know, and these coaches that I have a personal relationship with. And I understand how, because of the Power 5 system in the NCAA, generally all the attention is steered to just 5 conferences. And even at Houston, we're not in a Power 5 conference. So I understand what they're going with. So I think a program like this is so exciting, because a donation to an HBCU can make a difference. Oftentimes the teams are not as large. So this can make the difference of uniforms, going to a certain meet across the country they might not be able to, and get the exposure that they deserve. And so I'm really excited about this program. I'm glad to be a part of Silk Team Protein, and being able to give this donation. So those 5 schools that actually get the donation can really benefit, and look forward to seeing how the program can advance. I do want to say one more thing I've got to add in, because we have to talk about, and I'll just say this is how you do it. So you do not have to be in the school. You do not have to be a professor or a coach or anything, just someone that loves a certain HBCU. So go to silkteamprotein.com and nominate your school. We want to give away this donation to all the schools. We're so excited about it. I look forward to coming back, creating a relationship. And also the school winners, they also get some Silk soy milk. So that soy milk will help them get started on their quest to be a healthier diet.
According to the Washington Post, Black veganism is on the rise, which makes Lewis's goal even more important to him.
So it's exciting to get into that community, and I look forward to all of you out there nominating your school.